Freeport Indonesia has been operating in Indonesia since 1973. And through its operation, the company, which is known for mining copper and gold, is mostly owned and operated by a US-based company.
Now, during President Joko Widodo administration, Indonesia was able to gain control of the mining company. And to know more about how is the progress of the divestment and what the future holds for the company and the country, we are now joined by Freeport Indonesia's President Director, Tony Wenas. Hi, Pa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Glad
Pak
to be
Tony.
here.
Glad to have you here, Pa.
Thank you for joining us. Pa Tony, first we want to ask you in regards to the divestment of Freeport Indonesia. Could you share with us how much of a percentage of that is going to Indonesia and the local communities?
So let me go back a little bit.
Sure.
Freeport Indonesia used to work under the contract of work, the first contract of work, and then the second contract of work from 1991 until 2018. At that time, we discussed with the government, negotiated with the government, and then the contract of work being converted into what they call the IUPK, Izin Usaha Pertambangan Khusus.
Right.
And at that time, it was agreed that Freeport has to divest 51.2% to Indonesia and also build a smelter, a new smelter, copper smelter. And in return, Freeport got its extension until 2041 and also got the tax and legal stability.
Right.
So now PTFI, PT Freeport Indonesia, is legally owned 51.2% by the government, which is represented by Inalum, and also the provincial government who owns, Papua provincial government who owns 3%, and the Mimika Regency owns 7%.
Okay.
This is definitely a win for the country. We know that there has been...
It's not only win for the country,
Yes.
it's win for the country, win for Freeport, win for the community as well.
Yeah, definitely. And what does it mean specifically for the country? What's the impact of the divestment to the country, the community?
Yeah, of course, first of all, that the government will receive more from PTFI. Like before the divestment, the government actually from 100 of the revenue of Freeport, the government would get like 60%.
Right.
And now it's more than 70%.
Wow.
And of course, for the provincial government and the Regency government in Papua, they're getting much more, 3 times higher than what they used to get based on the contract of work.
Right.
So, and for Freeport is also happy having a government as a partner, right?
Right, that's true.
So then this is a very good example of how good the public-private partnership is.
Right.
Right.
So everybody happy.
Yeah, especially those that are in Papua. And speaking of those that are in Papua, let's talk a little bit about inclusion. How much of the current workforce are Papuan and what positions do they hold?
Currently, the Papuan workers represent 41+%.
Okay.
And I have one BOD member which is from Papua. His name is Klaus Wamahma. And we also have like 9 vice presidents from Papua.
Wow.
And for managers, 50+ managers from Papua.
Okay.
So when we recruit people, the first thing we do is that we try to find local
Okay.
from the kabupaten. And then if we cannot find that, we go to the province. And then if we cannot find it, then we go to outside of the province. And PTFI total employees now, including the contractor and the partners there, is 28,000 people.
Wow.
And 98% are Indonesian,
Right.
from Sabang until Merauke.
Okay. And 41% of them being Papuan.
Papuan.
That is a large percentage as well,
Yeah.
large number of
Yes.
people that are
And
employed.
it's definitely something that you must be proud of,
And
building
we're
the
also
communities.
committed to continue to increase the number of Papuan.
Yes.
Is there a future goal that has been set? Is there a set target as to how much of the work inclusion you would like eventually for it to be?
We would like as much as possible.
Right.
And also not only about the Papuan, the inclusivity is basically we also try to invite or to have more women in our workforce. Because usually mining is known as man-money machine.
Right.
Yes.
But we also think that it's good to have more women in our workforce.
Agree.
Yes. And its research has been conducted, said that women actually boost the financial performance of the company, right?
Yeah, you know what? Our operator now, the underground mine is basically run remotely
Right.
Yes.
from a nice room like this.
Yes.
You know, you can see like the young people,
Right.
young Papuan, and 50% of them are women.
So-
because they are more diligent in
Yeah.
operating.
Right. So physical strength is not a matter.
no longer
it's no
has
longer a
relevance.
requirement. Yes.
It's a different set of game right
era.
now.
Yeah, it's a different
Now,
time.
speaking of performance, I think Freeport has reached its 55 years. Can you share a bit about its performance so far?
The performance of Freeport actually, since 1991 until last year, we contributed to the government like $23 billion.
Wow.
That's a lot. And
That's
in
a lot.
future, we can contribute around $80 billion until 2041. So it's around $4 billion each year going to the government.
Yeah.
So, that shows, because our underground mine is being ramped up successfully and
Right.
now has reached almost 100% of its capacity and will continue to mine it until 2041 and try to contribute more to the country, to the people.
Absolutely.
And also that also include our community development projects, CSR programs. Since 1991, it's already reached almost $2 billion.
Wow.
And moving forward, we continue to spend like $100 million a year for the community.
Right,
It's a lot.
Great. That is great.
And because we are committed for the Papuan, we are part of Papua.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We also feel that Papua is also us.
It's a part
Yeah.
of Freeport as well. Pak Tony, I'm interested. You said earlier about how technology has really changed the game as well. Obviously, a huge part of the revenue that it's able to generate is the development and the advancement of technology. And most of our viewers probably know about open pit mining. But can you explain a little bit more about this underground mining, the technology, the safety, the safety precautions that are now being able to be taken because you're able to do this remotely now? How much are you able to? Is Freeport Mine able to mine within a day? Let's say.
Our production capacity currently is around 190,000 tons of ore per day.
Per day. Okay.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And we're gonna reach the peak at around 230,000 tons a day. During the open pit area, it's around that tonnage as well. It's around like 200,000, 210,000 tons per day. But now we're doing it remotely, and it's a lot safer.
Right.
It's a lot safer. And also we use the unmanned train to transport the ore, which can accommodate 110,000 tons of ore per day.
Okay.
And those trains are unmanned, and it's electricity train. So it reduced the emission of the carbon.
Of course.
We also have a target to reduce carbon emission to 30% by 2030.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot as well, by a third.
Yep.
So we also know that the technology that you mentioned, these electric trains are run on, are Wi-Fi. Is it that it's provided
Yeah, it's
by?
Wi-Fi and also 5G.
All right. Now, Telcom is actually working with
Oh
Freeport
yes,
to provide.
Telecom Group has been there for decades.
Right. So perhaps could you elaborate a little bit more about how this actually helps productivity as well in order to use these unmanned trains as part of the production?
First of all, is that the safety issue, because some of the ore are wet ore, what we call wet ore, so it
Okay.
might become it might have like slides there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that's why we use we built the system together with our equipment provider, the manufacturer of the heavy equipment, and we built it together to have it like that. You should see how the young people manage like you're going to time zone.
It's
Based on joystick,
Right.
screen.
Yeah.
It's the progress of technology, Internet of
technology,
Things, right?
yeah.
Yes. And speaking of technology, now that you have underground pitting, IoT, one of the things that we're also building in-house in Indonesia is also the smelting. Now, it's said that it's supposed to be finishing soon in 2022. Can you share with us a little bit more on the progress?
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, that part of the commitment
Yeah.
is that to build a new copper smelter. We own already a copper smelter
Right.
in East Java right now, and we are building the second one, the new one, which is going to be the largest single-line copper smelter in the world.
Okay.
And people are said, oh, you haven't started that, you haven't finished that. It's now progressing 32.5%.
Okay.
And we spent already $1 billion there of the total investment of around $3 billion.
Okay.
And by the end of this year, we can complete like 50% of the progress. We have already installed the around 10,000 pilings over there, and some concrete has been poured as well. And we hope that by the end of 2023, we will complete the physical construction,
Okay.
and then start commissioning the system, and then hopefully by May 2024, we can
Wow. Okay.
have our first copper cathode from that smelter, the new
coming
smelter.
soon.
Also, we're building also the precious metal refinery.
Right.
Currently, the smelter in Gresik only process the copper cathode, while the anode slime, which also have the gold and silver, still exported. But when this new smelter is completed, including the precious metal refinery, everything will be processed domestically.
In-house, right.
Wow.
So with all of these exciting developments coming for you, and if this is completed on target and able to get underway in early 2024, between that and 2041, what are your projections? What are your hopes for the next
We hope that
decade?
since we are going to produce the copper cathode, gold and silver domestically,
Yes.
what we expect is that to have the downstream industry, the further downstream industry also grow in that area, not only in Gresik or East Java, but also all over Indonesia, because we have copper cathode now. Copper
Yes.
cathode, will be used mainly for transporting electricity. So
Sure.
the cable industry and also the other industry have to grow, so that the added value, the value added of this copper cathode will still be in the country,
Yeah.
rather than we export the copper cathode.
Right.
Okay.
If we export the copper cathode, then the additional added value will be outside.
Sure.
Yes.
So when you talk about downstream, how far down are we talking about here? What industries are we looking at?
It's a lot of industry using copper,
Yeah.
but mainly is the, for example, like 60% of copper is used to transport electricity.
Okay. So basically,
with-
a lot more things are using electricity these
And
days.
especially,
Yeah.
all the renewable energy power
Correct.
plant now
Yes.
is going to use more copper. For example, like the wind farm will use, a megawatt will use 1.5 tons of copper. And the solar panel will use like 4 tons of copper
Right.
per megawatts. And the electric vehicle,
Yeah.
the electric vehicle is basically going to consume copper 4 times more than conventional vehicle.
Right.
So the needs of copper is huge now, and we're going to produce it here in Indonesia. So
Right.
that's why, if the other industry can be also grow in Indonesia, that's going to be fantastic for Indonesia.
Right.
That's definitely a strategic timing for Freeport with the progression of the renewable energy. Now, speaking about that, I also wanted to ask about the sustainability project or initiative, as well as the leadership development. You mentioned that there's a lot of focus on community, and also understand that you invested a lot in leadership development for your leaders, right? Can you share a bit with us about, in terms of sustainability initiatives, as well as leadership development for your employees and communities?
Yeah, basically, you're talking about sustainability is what we trying to measure is how we can contribute to the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes.
Out of the 17 goals, then we think we contribute to 16. So it's like almost, so in terms of the manpower, the training, the economic benefit, and also the environmental management. Like I mentioned earlier that, we're going to reduce the carbon emission by 30% in 2030. We don't have a target for 2060 because our license is only 2041.
Right.
Right.
So we are willing to have a target like the government's target is that to have a net zero by 2060.
Correct.
Yeah.
But since our license
One
is
step
only
at a
like
time.
2041,
Right.
better make a plan until 2030 and then the mine closure in 2041. And in addition to that, I think we also contribute to the rehabilitation of the forest is more than 4,000 hectares already being rehabilitated.
Great.
And also the mangrove development. So each year we're gonna plant 100 hectares of mangrove, and with a target of 10,000 hectares
That is so wonderful.
by the end of our mine. And we have a very comprehensive mine closure plan,
Okay.
which is gonna rehabilitate all the areas and replanted all the areas that is being affected.
Oh, wow. that
And
is-
also about the community, like I mentioned earlier, we continue to contribute around like $100 million a year. And then with the expectation that by the time we finish our work there, the community can still continue to live.
We all hope so too. Pak Tony, finally for me, 55 years, commemorated this year. Anything special for Freeport to be commemorating that this particular year?
Excuse me. So in April, we reached like 55 years, and I mentioned to all the employees, our theme was that rumah kita.
Okay.
It's not our house, our home.
Okay.
So our home means, the difference between home and house is that in a home you have a family there.
Correct.
You have care for each other, you have respect for each other, you remind other people. So if you ask the Freeport employee, usually, they've been working like 30 years, 35 years, 20-something years. So they love it to being there because we are one big Freeport family.
Right.
It's not about only the employees, but also we live together side by side with the community.
Yes.
Because we believe that there's no company that can prevail in a community and environment that fail.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Hope that the family relationship and dynamic continues to flourish. Congratulations on the 55th year.
Thank you.
Very exciting to hear all the coming goals and what the future holds for Freeport Indonesia and for those in the community around there as well. Pak Tony, thank you for your time, and we appreciate you joining us here
My pleasure.
this morning. We hope to talk to you again real soon.
Sure.